the best station, period.
Let's be honest. These guys have the best job on the planet.
You come to work in a frickin' bathrobe?
So if you're out there working hard, you should also expect your radio hosts to put in an honest day's work. So of course, Jake and Ben are live at 5 with the biggest headlines and the best analysis in Utah. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Oh, I gotta read this story. LaMelo Ball sued for allegedly being nightmare tenant weeks after shock trade to Timberwolves. Oh, better believe I'm going to be reading that. It is time for Live at 5, brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. The NBA overall continues to be the biggest story of the day, Ben. Draymond Green signing for $28 million. Also, fallout continues from LeBron James going to Philadelphia.
Philly's now already made two moves. One guy waived, Jaylen Terry. Traded Janai Baroum, who was on Auburn, near championship team. Or did they win the title? I don't think they won the title, but they got close. Got traded to the Clippers today with some draft picks just to cut salary so they can sign LeBron and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope while remaining underneath the aprons, et cetera, et cetera. Again, as much as I see the world where the perfect scenario, which is I think when guys sign what they hope for, things could work out for LeBron and Philly, there's a real chance this is a disaster stop.
Oh, there's a real chance it certainly doesn't produce a title. I mean, it depends on...
I would heavily bet it does not produce a title.
It depends on your definition of disaster.
I'm not sure it's going to be Patrick Ewing. What was worse for Patrick Ewing, Sonics or Magic? Neither was good. Or Olajuwon Raptors or Jordan Wizards. Is Jordan Wizards the worst last career stop?
In sports?
In sports?
No, because there are a ton that we're not forgetting or we don't remember. Like, how many teams did Jerry Rice play for at the very end?
Seahawks,
the Raiders, the Donks.
Did he go to the Cardinals?
Off-season only.
He went to the Donks for a brief period when he was rocking the balding braids. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So, I don't know. You can say Jordan with the Wizards. That might be the most infamous. But the worst, there were plenty of legends that limped out of the league worse than Jordan did.
Trying to get whatever paycheck they could.
Yeah.
You're right.
But Jordan had the highest fall from grace.
Well, the Wizards are such a rotten organization, and Jordan became such the class of all American sports. It was the weirdest dichotomy.
Well, and listen, go look at Jordan's numbers for Washington. It wasn't that bad.
No, he averaged 20 points a game.
They didn't win, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like he was out there humiliating himself.
Correct.
He was still a fine player. They just didn't didn't really come close to winning the title. And fine player, but it wasn't like he went to, 7 points a game and was just a complete joke.
Correct.
So, I don't know. That's an interesting question.
But there is a chance that among all the things LeBron has done in his career, which have been largely successful, though I think you make a real point that how successful was the Lakers stop actually? He won one very strange title and otherwise squandered a lot.
Made it to one conference finals on top of that, and then pretty much a bunch of one and dones.
And remember,
some not make it at all.
He joined a team that was stacked with young players, and he did a Lord of the Flies style situation. Who do I like enough to keep around? And you remember between Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, et cetera, who made the cut?
Kuz.
Kyle Kuzma for a season and won the title as a rookie and then was off to Washington or wherever he got shipped off to. But yes, considering the team he joined, I believe had Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, lots of pretty highly touted players, not spoiled yet as far as what their NBA future was going to look like. While they did turn some of them into Anthony Davis, Brandon Ingram, didn't really build a lot of great rosters.
No, but
and among all of that, this could end up being viewed as like LeBron's biggest sin of going and wrapping up his career with Philly or whatever happens here.
Oh, biggest sin. That's an interesting way to put it. I think he could be viewed as a ring chaser. I mean, I compared it to Karl Malone going to the Lakers, that you're joining a team that's ready-made to be pretty good. I do not think it will be a disaster. I agree. They're
going to make the playoffs.
I do not think that LeBron actually has that much to do with it. They're going to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. Jaylen Brown is a huge upgrade over Paul George, and Jaylen Brown just took a mediocre team single-handedly to the playoffs as the number 2 seed. So it's not going to be a disaster. One thing Jaylen Brown does do, too, is play. So it's not going to be one of those things, knock on wood for him, where he's going to miss the whole year and they're just going to have this whole injury thing like they have had in the past. I think it will be successful. I think they will make the playoffs. Regardless of LeBron, they were going to make the playoffs. I don't know how much of a contender they are, more than they were before they made the Jaylen Brown trade, which is the impactful move for Philadelphia. The Jaylen Brown trade. LeBron is icing on the cake. You're not going to say no to LeBron, but LeBron is not all of a sudden putting them over the top. And LeBron is a pretty consistent regular season player himself, usually. I just don't know if they get over the hump still in the playoffs. But Jaylen Brown is the reason that Philadelphia is a contender, not LeBron James. Now, there is some sound out of Boston. You want to hear this?
Surely.
This is Jayson Tatum speaking at a camp, right, in front of a bunch of kids. Now, do you read this as a dig against Jaylen Brown?
Okay.
All right.
I don't know it all. I'll be the first person to say that. Being a leader is being comfortable with raising your hand like, Michelle, I don't know. Can you explain that to me? I don't know X, Y, and Z. I want to learn, right? Somebody, being around somebody that feel like they know it all, I don't want to be around that person, right? I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn from somebody else.
A little muffled.
But at the end,
Jayson Tatum says there, don't be a know-it-all. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask a question or say, I don't know. By the way, that's very good advice. Actually, I fully agree with Jayson Tatum there.
but nobody wants to play with a
But
know-it-all.
the fact that he kept going and said nobody wants to play with a know-it-all after, 3 weeks ago, Jaylen Brown was kind of saying, like, you can call me a know-it-all, but it's a pretty low bar in sports. Like, that specific term feels pointed.
It was Colin Cowherd specifically said Jaylen Brown thinks he's the smartest guy.
In the room, and then he said the smartest guy in the room verbatim, and says, "Yeah, nobody wants to play with that guy." If you had only played me the first half of that clip, I would have said you're reading too much into it. The second half of the clip makes it feel very obvious that yes, he's pointing at Jaylen Brown as being the guy nobody wants to be around.
It could have been not coincidental. What am I looking for? Just incidental. I mean, he's trying to give general advice about what kind of player and what kind of teammate that you want to be. But I do think his choice of words make it a little pointed.
Okay, and look, I'm not trying to dismiss Jayson Tatum as a person either. I'm not sure that's the type of teammate you would bring up of who you don't want to play with unless you've played with that type of teammate. Like, you bring up, there's a relatively infamous Utah Jazz media training camp of one guy who talked about how good he was at basketball. And then everyone saw him, and he might be the worst basketball player of all time.
You've ever seen.
And now everybody, when they bring up the type of guy you don't want to play with on your team, they would reference that guy.
He shot it every time he touched it.
He
was Michael Scott from
The Office.
The Office, if you've ever seen that episode. He was
And then
that.
would complain about why the ball missed by 14
I can't believe
14
I'm
feet.
so off today.
What's going on with my hands? I can't get any grip in here. There are a lot of types of teammates you could complain about. Oh, he doesn't play defense. I don't want to play with the guy who doesn't play defense. I don't want to play with the guy who doesn't pass. I don't want to play with the guy who shoots every time he touches it. I don't want to play with the guy who isn't on time. I don't want to play with the guy who doesn't play in enough games. Saying I don't want to play with the know-it-all I actually don't think every team has a know-it-all. I don't think it's inevitable that you run into a know-it-all player on every team you play with. You play with the lazy guy on every team you play with. You play with the guy who doesn't know how to play on every time you've played with. We all played junior jazz. Some kids showed up in jeans and Tevas for some reason on every team. The know-it-all is again, I don't know if there are 30 know-it-alls in the NBA. There are 30 know-it-all media members in every city, but there may not be 30 know-it-all players. So for Jayson Tatum to say that specific term, having only played for one team with some high turnover, because the NBA has turnover, but played with, to this point, Jaylen Brown every year of his career, feels particularly pointed to me. I don't think he's talking about Al Horford.
Okay, you know who I'm going to...
I think he's talking about Drew Holiday.
No, I don't know. Okay, let's say for a second he's talking about Jaylen Brown. That's fine. You know who I blame? All of this on Brad Stevens. It's all on Brad Stevens. Brad let it get so bad that he got fleeced in a trade. Brad let the internal relationship get so bad that he did the franchise a disservice. And hey, maybe in the long term, getting off Jaylen's salary was the right thing. You will never be able to convince me that trading Jaylen Brown for Paul George's corpse that is making just as much money as Jaylen Brown is making, that somehow was a savvy move. You let the relationship... But the reason that we're talking about Philadelphia being a contender is because Jaylen Brown is so good. So you talk about know-it-alls on every team, and I love you because you like to get into the weeds on the specifics. I don't care who's on whatever team. It could be a know-it-all. It could be a murderer. It could be a cocaine dealer. Your job is to get everybody to work together to be the best basketball team possible. So with Jayson Tatum taking juvenile shots at Jaylen Brown after Jaylen Brown isn't on the team, somebody needed to pull Jayson Tatum aside and say, grow up. Grow up. And someone needed to pull Jaylen Brown aside and say, you're not the smartest guy in the room. You need to be a better teammate. And look, you've got the tiger by the dang tail. I've got 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA on my roster. They're both two-way guys. They both play defense.
They're exactly what everybody wants.
Everybody wants. And I let it get so poisonous that I've got one of them going on the Swatch? What's it called?
TikTok. Twitch.
Running down the other one.
Talking to Chad on Twitch.
About being a favorite season and getting all loose on the Swatch in the first place. Your job as a front office is to field the best basketball team possible. Period. End of story. I don't care what personality flaws, what players have. I'm sure Jaylen Brown is the most insufferable, condescending, you-know-what on the planet. Who cares? Who cares? You have to get that guy in line. The only reason we're talking about Philly as a possible title contender is because you pulled off one of the stupidest trades in the history of the NBA and gifted it to him. We talked to Gina Mizell. I guess it would have been yesterday, right? We talked to Gina about how this kind of came together. And she said Philly watched the Giannis thing fall apart with Boston and thought, give them a phone call?
Might as well.
They may laugh us out of the building because we're offering Paul George, but why not make a phone call? That's how she said it came together. And then, you're interested? You're kidding. You're kidding me. What's the catch? And if the catch is that Jaylen Brown is insufferable, okay. Well, Paul George is overpaid and apparently has a drug problem. So we'll send you Paul George. And we'll take back a top 10 player. Are you crazy? I mean, if Phil Jackson's superpower, we've talked about this a lot, he took the craziest idiots on the planet and made them an unbelievable basketball team.
Master.
You don't think Dennis Rodman is screaming personality flaw. You don't think Ron Harper had personality flaws? Or Michael? Or Scotty, obviously? Or Bison Dele? Remember he was on that team? You don't think that those people, there wasn't an insufferable person, a condescending person, a smartest person in the room on those teams? Of course there were.
there was.
And worse. And worse.
Right.
But your job is to disregard all of that and figure out how to make a basketball
Know how
team.
to massage it.
So this is all on the Celtics and Brad Stevens. And the fact that he's still taking shots at him is incredibly juvenile, and he should have nipped this in the bud years ago. Years ago.
If he didn't know that Jaylen Brown was the type of person who was going to go on Twitch and air out, if not all, a lot of the dirty laundry publicly, you didn't know Jaylen Brown well enough, and that's your fault. You run the team. You should get to know your players, their personality types, who they're going to be. If you did know, and you didn't recognize that as soon as you gave him the keys to the car, that he was going to take off with it, that's a you problem.
That's a you problem.
If you didn't recognize, and I'm not trying to sound all that down on Jaylen Brown because I actually don't know.
No, I'm down on Brad
Stevens.
Stevens. So
Right.
Jaylen Brown's a weirdo. Welcome to the NBA. They all are.
If that was going to become such a problem, you should have traded him before everyone realized it, and you could only get Paul George back for him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That was the problem that you ran into. You were apparently the last guy to realize all of this, and then you had to pay the price for it.
And by the way, let the Swatch thing disappear for a while and then trade him.
Bring
Why
him
do you
back for
trade
6
him
months.
in the middle
Yeah.
of this for nothing?
Right. Bring him back, and then in February, when the next superstar wants out, trade him for Steph Curry or whatever. I don't
make
know what
it better,
is.
but-
whatever it is, yeah. No, I'm totally with
It's
you.
so silly. And if that is a shot at Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, what are you doing? They just put all their eggs in your basket. Move on.
It's funny you brought up the FBI coming and confiscating my phone because we were talking about the Dodgers Lakers owner Mark Walters having his phone and laptop seized by the FBI. I was just looking at old pictures and I had screenshotted a tweet I had. I don't know why. I think it was Donovan Mitchell had said something along the lines, whatever it was involved in the Rudy Donovan, Dennis Lindsey, Quinn Snyder falling apart, everyone falling apart. And it said, don't worry about me not having a perfect relationship with Rudy Gobert. I don't have a perfect relationship with anybody. Like, that's kind of a red flag. Not that everyone has perfect relationships or anyone has perfect relationships, but when you get to that point of the defense, the team should have already recognized it's time to move on. We needed to pull this parachute way earlier than the point where we are is, I don't have really good relationships with anybody. It's not my relationship with Rudy's not the problem. It's that I don't have good relationships with anybody. That's a major problem. Yeah, Jaylen Brown being a know-it-all is not actually the problem. The problem is not realizing that if you have a whole season with Jayson Tatum out and Jaylen Brown gets to fill all the space, and he's going to play well because he's a very good player, that's not going to create a mutiny on the roster. That's a you problem, Brad Stevens. You failed to see the uprising that was in plain sight for everybody out here. So when after the year he says, I don't know what you guys were talking about. This was my favorite season of all time, chat. I love this. That's a problem from a manager not recognizing what's in front of him. Absolutely.
Coming back to Phil Jackson, when Kobe demanded a trade to go to like the Bulls or whatever, Phil put a lid on it.
Yep.
Phil said, okay, we'll figure it out, Kobe. And he figured it out.
Yeah.
That's your job. And Phil wasn't even the GM at the time. But that is quite literally your job.
When
is to
Scottie Pippen won't go on the floor because he's not getting the last shot over Tony Kukoc, you got to find a way to get it to work out.
That's your job.
It's your job. It's not ideal. In fact, that's one of the worst case. That's in that scenario. That's truly the worst case scenario. You drop a play. The best player on the team is a decoy. The other guy hits the shot, which is the game winner, and should be the sign that the goal here is to work together to win. And your best player is mad about it. That's worst case scenario. You have to find a way to move on to the next step.
Did Scottie Pippen go on to win titles with the Chicago Bulls after that moment?
Yes, he did.
He sure did.
And 3 more.
Well, they figured it out, did they?
Figured it out.
Yeah, I bet.
And Scotty was essential.
Yeah, Scotty
So
was
was
mad.
Tony.
Yes, he was. Scotty was mad that day. He obviously has a huge ego problem. I don't know, maybe some wouldn't say a problem. But did they trade him that offseason?
No.
Or did they do what's best for the franchise and tape it back together?
Right.
And they even brought Michael back to be the best player. And somehow Phil got Scotty to fall in line. That's your job.
your job.
Yeah.
That's your job.
You can't let personality flaws affect that. And when you do, bad things happen. And then bad decisions are made. Like if you trade for Gilbert Arenas and you just give him your locker room, bad things are going to happen.
You've done a bad job.
You've done a bad job,
Yep.
and it's going to be bad for your franchise.
Yep.
All right, more Jake and Ben coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben, Anderson. Yeah, I still haven't gotten to the bottom of this ball thing. Apparently, he had $100,000. He just decided not to pay in rent.
Apparently, again, do you remember the Malik Beasley saga? He had left and some barber came after him. Some suit maker was like, you owe me $1 million.
Oh, who was the controversial wide receiver for the Steelers that, got off on not paying his bills? Was it Antonio Brown?
Yeah.
That just would not pay anybody anything?
Yeah.
Hired a chef and then just...
Stiffed him.
I don't know. Maybe people just... Maybe they're disorganized or maybe they're just... I don't know. Bad people. Like what?
Stingy?
But stingy, I mean, come on. You're LaMelo Ball, and I hate it when people do this, spend other people's money. But you're LaMelo Ball. You can afford to pay your rent.
Your rent specifically.
Your rent specifically.
There is a weird thing of like, hey, I'm a celebrity. Everywhere I go, they give me something. I go to the Oscars and I get a $5,000 gift bag or $100,000 gift bag. And I went here and they put these clothes on me. I just assumed that this was a part of the trade or whatever. And then you realize, oh, I didn't know I was paying for that. I wouldn't have gone or whatever. But obviously, you have to pay rent. Correct. I know I have to pay for the house I live in. Absolutely.
Kind of a basic thing.
I don't think that's going to work out in Minnesota.
I really don't. I don't think it's going to work out either. I think he's just going to take a bite out of Anthony Edwards. And he still doesn't play any defense. I still can't believe I was hearing somebody from Charlotte the other day who was on our station. They were saying that Hornets fans are bent out of shape, that they had the best team that they've had in years, which is kind of hilarious because they just made the play-in, right?
And lost.
And then trade away LaMelo Ball and everybody's mad. It's like, wow, everybody's mad?
I think they saw the writing on the wall.
Right.
I think that was pretty smart. I think it was a pretty savvy move.
No, I think the players that are responsible for the climb are not LaMelo Ball.
Correct. LaMelo has been there.
Has been there, but they've sucked with him there.
Con Knippel and Brandon Miller get there, and you suddenly start winning.
Bingo.
It's a real green flag for Charlotte and a real red flag for, I guess, now Minnesota and Phoenix, that as soon as they start winning, they said, let's send Miles Bridges here and let's send LaMelo Ball there, and they're both in the West, and they're nothing related to us anymore. We don't have anything to do with them because we finally have something. We finally know what we have. And am I expecting Charlotte to be a contender? No. But the fact that they found an out and took it as fast as possible is not a huge endorsement for either of the players that they traded.
You know what? I'm trying to think of, okay, how about this comparison? Rick Majerus famously would park on the lawn and would just drive anywhere he wanted to, park next to the door at the Huntsman Center and then walk in. You'd look at somebody with that behavior and say, you better be going to the dang national championship if we have to put up with that crap. Yeah. You better be one of the best coaches. If we're putting up with that, you're sending staff on multiple Crown Burger runs per practice and then parking on the lawn. If we're going to put up with that, you better be dang special. Dude, if I'm the Hornets, if you're not paying your rent just because, and you're crashing your car all over town, and you play for a franchise that has a bad history with the operation of motor vehicles, you better be the best dang player on the stinking planet.
Right.
And
you can't be 40% usage, no playoff appearances.
40% usage on a 17-win team or whatever it was. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's not surprising to me at all that they would go a different direction, especially because they don't rely on him that much. They have better players that will make them a better team.
I won't be surprised if he and Ant don't jive,
I agree.
if they don't get along well.
Well, Ant isn't going to share, and he's a way better player.
Ant is a little goofy. He's got some off-the-court stuff with children all over the place. It
I
seems
think he
like
just
that
got married,
he's-
though.
Good for Ant. I would root for Ant. Again, young person, handed the world, crazy, crazy upbringing. Like, I have some real sympathy for Ant as a person and would hope he, has a good, happy life. I hope everyone has a good, happy life. I do kind of think he is about basketball when he's on the court. I kind of do think Ant is made of the right stuff to where he went to the Charlotte of the West, called the Charlotte of the Midwest, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have largely been an unserious basketball program. And like, as soon as he got there, everything started to be like, oh, they're winning. Oh, this is like, people want to go work there. Tim Connolly left the Nuggets to go be the GM there because, like, there's obviously good enough intel that this guy's the real deal. And Rudy bought in, and Mike Conley bought in, and you haven't really had any player come out and be like, this dude sucks. This dude's an idiot. I can't believe this guy is one. You've never heard anyone be like, LaMelo's really good, actually. Like, really cool to have LaMelo around. The second you have a good team that almost makes the playoffs, they trade him. I bet he goes to Minnesota, and I bet you Ant gets sick of the non-seriousness pretty quickly.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
And, oh, man, Rudy is going to talk.
Well, Rudy
If
probably.
he does not, if Rudy doesn't like LaMelo, Rudy has made enough money that he doesn't need to pretend to be nice about it.
Yeah. Here's what I foresee the problem being. Okay. If I were to tell you that Anthony Edwards was a better player than LaMelo Ball, your answer would be?
Correct.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
If I were to ask LaMelo Ball if Anthony Edwards were better than him, his response would be?
3 Anthony Edwards aren't better than me.
Bingo. So these players have such little grasp of reality that it causes the conflict. So if LaMelo Ball comes in and says, "Dude, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna play my game. This is how I play. I'm gonna have the ball the whole time and do all this because Anthony Edwards isn't better than me." That's how you get problems. If I were to ask you, Ben, in what would have been 99, 98, who's the better player, John Stockton or Mark Jackson? Your
John
answer
Stockton.
would have been John Stockton. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
If you would have asked Mark Jackson that very same question, his response would be
Start Mark.
Mark Jackson.
Time to start Mark Jackson.
I've been better than John Stockton this whole time. How did that go?
Poorly.
Very poorly. Very poorly
Quite
for
bad.
the Jazz and for Mark Jackson. John Stockton was fine. Anthony Edwards is going to be fine.
Yes.
But how's it going to go for LaMelo Ball and the Timberwolves? I don't think it's going to go well.
Correct. There's a chance that this is the first step towards Ant not being a Minnesota Timberwolf, which is bad for LaMelo and bad for Minnesota. But to your point, Jake, if Christian made $40 million last year and $108 million in his career and had another, $90 million coming to him over the next 2 seasons from his last job. He signed this contract as his last job. And we signed him or acquired Christian to come in and we said, no, we want you to do something totally different. We've got a different idea for how to utilize your skills. Christian's going to say,
What are you talking
I
about?
just made $40 million doing what I did at my last spot. And they wanted me for $90 million more. I'm not changing anything.
I'm not changing a dang thing.
Why
Yeah.
would I change?
I'm
This
going to
has
play my
been a
game.
Great news ring. This is why the Hawks never, or the Wizards never should have traded for Trae Young.
Yep.
You're going to ask Trae Young to change his stripes now? He's made $180 million playing Trae Young ball.
And you gave him another basically max contract.
And now you just paid him to do it more. And now you're going to be like, actually, what if you play like off ball next to AJ DeBonce? Are you stupid? Yeah, LaMelo, you want me to play second fiddle to a guy who does a lot of the same things I do? Dribbles, shoots a lot of threes, has the ball late, makes a lot of the big decisions, most important moments of the game, he's touching the ball? No, I make $40 million a year. That's cool. I'll do it. I can do it. Yeah, this is a gamble I don't understand in the slightest. I know they didn't get it. I know they didn't give up much. They gave up Nas Reed to get him. It wasn't hard to get him, but
No, but Nas Reed played a role for them.
And also, it doesn't mean it's going to work. Just because you paid little to get something back doesn't mean the thing you're getting back is of value.
All right, we'll get to some voicemails coming up next. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got it made, Jayson also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
I must say, listening to every sports show today on your channel talking about stupid freaking LeBron James all day long. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my gosh. Please stop already.
Hey guys, fluent French speaker here. The phrase you want is pied à terre. Pied being foot. But anyway, that's the thing they're trying to tax. Okay, bye.
Thank you, John. Pied à terre.
That must mean foot on de terre has to be on ground, right? Terre as like terrace or
I guess.
It's ground.
But still odd that the governor of New York would take a dig at LeBron James. That's very strange. And then the first one was from Case. And yeah, I'm with you, Case. Yeah, LeBron is not as good as the attention he gets anymore. But when LeBron James does anything, it's news. Just simply because it's LeBron James.
No, this is telling. LeBron waited until the absolute deadest period of the summer before he made his decision. Because if he does this a week from Thursday, the NFL preseason has started, and you're not going to hear anything nationally other than the NFL for the next 6 months, 7 months, up until the Super Bowl. College football is going to take over. LeBron announcing at this point in his career that he's going to Philly, it's always going to make news. LeBron is a big deal still. LeBron is still one of the 3, 4, 5 most famous athletes on the planet. He matters still, whether he helps on the court or not. He, as a person, his decision-making matters. But this wasn't accidental that he chose it when there is not a lot going on yet. College football is a month from yesterday.
Camp starts next week.
Again, preseason, the Hall of Fame game is a week from Thursday. There is stuff coming, but there is a bit of a vacuum that LeBron knows how to fill.
And yes, it takes up all the oxygen in the deadest part of the sports calendar. So apologies.
Honestly.
But it's what was going on yesterday. And today it far from dominated our show. We still talked about it, but we didn't talk about it the whole time.
No. I like the Jersey Patch conversation. I like the Ohtani conversation.
I hate the Jersey Patch conversation. Not that I hate that we had it. I just hate the conversation overall.
Yeah, totally fair.
And I hate the envyism that is people who, Ben, you'll probably drive through a nicer neighborhood to check out maybe some cool houses or something. But I don't know if you walk through a nicer neighborhood and then yell.
I don't go home mad.
Yeah, get angry. Yeah, right.
Correct.
So I don't understand how Utah, BYU, or whoever, Big 12, Utah State even fans can be all bent out of shape about how much money Notre Dame is making on their jersey patch. Dude, Rudy didn't play your school. I don't know what to tell you. You're not Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. They didn't win one for
no
the
one
Gipper.
Promised you it was going to be fair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you.
It didn't happen at the University of It didn't happen at Utah State. I'm very sorry, but that's not how it goes. I don't know if the Big 12 monster jersey patch turns out to be a big deal. I just don't care. It doesn't matter. They actually invented something that didn't exist before to sell. So, again, I don't see how you can get so bent out of shape about that.
Again, I don't even know if it's a mistake. There may not be more money out there for the Big 12 for their jersey patch. End of story.
By the way, it's not a jersey patch either. It's the Big 12 part of the jersey now has a monster thing.
Correct.
And so the schools...
Hence BYU selling its own jersey patch.
Right. So it's not even that. That's what I'm saying. They invented something that didn't exist and are now making millions off of it. So how could you really complain all that much about it? I don't know if the SEC or the Big Ten or whoever has even done a similar thing. Have we found a partnership like that?
For the entire league?
Because it's not a jersey patch deal. That is part of it, that they get their logo alongside the Big 12 logo.
But it's almost like the naming rights for the championship game. And
it's an international partnership, and there's all this stuff that goes with it. And like credit in the future where it could be expanded and all this other stuff. But I don't get the comparison game.
No,
I just
I'm
don't
with
understand.
you. I don't get the comparison game. What I truly hate about it, it's why I hate the whatever allotment you can pay out of your own budget, $20 million or whatever it is to your athletes. What I hate about it is none of it gets you any closer to solving the problem. It's all inflationary. I've said it a million times, but the jersey patch doesn't get you closer to people wanting less money. It just makes people want more money. That's what I hate about it.
And it doesn't even really get you any closer to your competition with the Big Ten or the SEC.
No, it doesn't in the slightest.
No. So why are you getting bent out of shape about it? You just need to expect your coach to do more with less. That's a fact.
Yep. It's the same problem they had when nobody had any money, truthfully. It's the same problem. A couple of teams could cheat and pay people under the table and succeed in markets that never should have succeeded as basketball teams. But otherwise, I don't think a whole lot's actually changed. It's not worse than it used to be. It's the exact same that it used to be.
And it certainly isn't my problem, nor is it the fans' problem. So I don't understand why the fans get so mad about it. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like maybe Pepsi doesn't make as much money as Coke, and they're still expected to compete in the same marketplace. Are you really crying tears for Pepsi?
Correct. No.
No?
No.
You're still expecting Pepsi to compete or whatever. I don't know why I picked that, but it's the same thing.
Letterman, Leno. There's two of them. One person had to be first, one person had to be second. You didn't have to feel bad for the guy in second.
Nope.
They were also doing well.
Yep. All right, stay tuned. 6 o'clock hour coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.